I struggled building my chest for years until I realized I was actually just doing too much. Now, who would have thought that? Well, most people, because if you're watching this, everyone loves to train chest, okay? Whether it's legs, you may neglect. Some of you don't like training your back because you can't see it, okay? But chest, International Chest Day, Mondays being the day of training your pectorals, applies to everyone. Everyone loves training chests, especially men, okay? And some women. But this video is all about actually the only exercises that you need in order to train your chest. And funny enough, you don't actually need as many as you think. You only need 3 exercises. That's right, you only need 3 chest exercises. And in this video, I'm gonna be talking you through the 3 specific chest exercises / variations that you need in order to grow your chest. That actually helped me grow my chest. Now, before I talk you through the 3 variations, we need to understand the anatomy of the chest. Okay, so we need to understand the divisions of the chest and the muscles that make up the overall chest. Now, when it comes to training your chest, one myth that I want to kill instantly is there is no such thing as an inner chest. There is no inner chest muscle. If you were trying to see basically this muscle here, that often comes from just having less body fat. Okay, if you have less body fat, you'll start to see the separation of your chest. Now, one of the things to understand is that will look different depending on individual, from an individual to individual basis. That is mainly genetic. But that depth that you get here, that line, it is the inner chest, but it isn't a muscle that you can actually train, okay? It just becomes more prominent the less body fat you have on your body. When it comes to the 3 parts of the chest, we have essentially 3 areas. We have the upper part of the chest, the mid part of the chest, and the lower part of the chest, okay? For argument's sake, we're gonna refer to them as chest, but most people refer to them as, I say most people, science refers to it as the pectoral, okay? But we are going to obviously refer to it as just the chest today. So we have the upper, middle, and the lower part. I'm gonna be talking you through the 3 variations that you need in order to hit all 3 divisions perfectly as far as the chest workout is concerned. The first exercise / variation is any sort of flat press variation. Now, this is kind of what I would argue is the most important movement of them all. Why? Because it actually works 3 divisions of the chest. You would have seen mentioned in previous videos that you can't really isolate any specific muscle part specifically, okay? You can bias certain muscles, and obviously when we're thinking about the divisions of the chest, you'd be able to kind of bias and focus more on the upper chest, focus more on the lower chest, but actually when we're thinking about training any sort of muscle, as we move the muscle, most of the divisions of the muscle are going to be worked. And in this instance, this is no different, okay? So when you're doing a flat press variation, it's actually gonna work the upper, mid, and the lower part of the pectoral, okay? Now you might go, well, actually, do I then need any more exercises? Of course you need more exercises. And who doesn't love training the chest, okay? And just imagine going to the gym and only doing a flat press variation. That would be boring. But I would argue that is the most staple, most significant movement that you can have in your chest day routine in order to kind of get to your desired goal. My honorable mention to the machine chest press. If you're trying to build muscle and build the chest, obviously you've got tons of stability, so that's one of my kind of go-tos. Followed by the dumbbell chest press. Dumbbell chest press is also another good variation. Now, some of you will go, what's the better one out of the dumbbell chest press versus the barbell chest press? I personally don't think there's much of a difference. Some will argue that you get a bit more of a stretch and you can get a bit more in depth when you're doing the flat dumbbell press variation compared to obviously a barbell variation. The one you decide to do is really up to you in those instances. I like both of them. I typically have grown my chest doing a dumbbell press, but I don't really mind doing a barbell press because, let's be honest, when a man asks you, do you bench 225, you need to have an answer to that. And if you've never tried a barbell chest press, then you're not gonna have the answer, really, okay? So first variation will be any sort of flat press movement. Variation 2, exercise 2, is any sort of incline press variation. This will typically focus more on the upper part of your chest. Now, if you wanna kind of have that meaty upper shelf look, if you wanted to put like a carton on top of like your chest to kind of rest it like a nice little shelf, okay? You want that for yourself, and you know, you want your girlfriend to have something to put their head on. And having very well developed upper pectorals are super key in order to having overall well developed chest. Now, as I said, first variation, whilst it covers all 3 divisions, this second variation will allow you to focus more on growing the upper part of your pectoral. Honorable mentions would be a incline dumbbell press variation, which is my personal favorite. You can see do the barbell press variation, you can do the Smith machine incline press variation. I particularly like that part because of the arm path allows you to kind of move smoothly from point A to B. And obviously you can use the cables as far as this is concerned. course, your second variation will be any sort of incline press variation. Technically, between exercise 1 and exercise 2, if you went into the gym, you did a flat press, you did incline press, you pretty much have the whole entire chest covered. I would argue that if you are a busy person and you don't have that much time in the gym, then these two are more than enough. And I'm not saying they're more than enough in the sense of the fact that if you were to do these things, you'd be leaving gains on the table. I know you can have a pretty well-developed chest with just those two variations. These are actually the two variations I pretty much cover when I train myself. I don't really actually do 3 exercises, which obviously I'm going to talk you through the body of this video, but actually those 2 variations alone will obviously allow you to have all parts of the chest covered, because as I've explained, the flat press variation will cover all 3 divisions, and this incline press variation will obviously cover all the upper part of the chest. And I guess the incline press variation, again, I'm not guessing, this is science. The incline press variation is obviously going to hit the upper part of your pecs a lot more than the flat press variation. Exercise 3. The final variation, exercise 3, is a fly variation. I know you're thinking, bro, come on, you've got to have a fly variation in there. And yes, of course, we'll have a fly variation in there. How can we have a chest day video or chest based workout and not have flies in there? Of course, we will have the flies. Now, the reason I like having flies in there is because of the angles that you can perform a fly in, okay, which, you know, you have a bit more flexibility. So for example, if you do a high to low fly variation, you can obviously then kind of focus more on the lower part of the pecs, the man boobies, kind of, so to speak. If you do a kind of a high to low fly variation, you can obviously focus a bit more on the upper part of the pecs, which again is lovely, which obviously allows you to focus, again, like I said, the top part of the shelf. And obviously if you kind of come through the middle, kind of mimic a flat press variation. I'd argue if you have a flat press variation in your routine, don't necessarily need a fly press variation, but for the benefit of this video and understanding all the different variations that you essentially need, or should have, shall I say, as far as your workout routine is concerned, those are the 3. The reason I say you don't necessarily need a flat and a fly are the same, because they essentially do the same thing, especially if within the body of your workout, you're kind of using a fly variation and coming through the middle. If you're doing that, then you don't necessarily need the flat press variation. But obviously if you're kind of angling your fly, so you're kind of doing a high to low fly variation or low to high fly variation, in these instances it would make sense for you to have this additional movement in there if you're trying to focus on a specific part of the chest for that specific workout. As far as training your chest is concerned, those are the only 3 variations you need: a flat press variation, an incline press variation, and a fly variation. Those 3 variations will essentially allow you to cover all regions of the chest. Now, can you do more exercises? Yes, you can do more. You can do 6, 7, 8 chest exercises. I know a lot of you watching this video, including myself, enjoy training your chest, but if you're trying to be efficient in the gym, and if I think about my own journey, one of the things that limited me was I was just doing too many exercises and not training hard enough. Just do less exercises and train harder. As opposed to doing 5, 6 chest exercises or doing 2 incline variations in the same workout, then followed by 2 flat press variations and then a fly variation, having 5 chest exercises. Just have 3 chest exercises in a workout. And actually you can even have 1 or 2 and obviously have another kind of chest exercise in another workout, depending on your split. And when you are doing the exercise itself, what you actually want to do is focus more on the intensity of what you're doing and the quality of the sets when it comes to the exercise, as opposed to doing lots of exercises. And when I think about intensity and quality, all I basically mean is progressive overload and training hard. When I say training hard basically means, you know, until you almost die. Not until you almost die, but, you know, not to mild discomfort, okay? Just pushing yourself close to failure or to failure. And when it comes to training progressively, it's kind of doing more reps and more weight. And if you're able to train with intensity and use those 3 exercises, or these 3 variations, should I say, then you're going to have a wonderful looking chest in no time. And yeah, those are only 3 chest exercises that you need. Hopefully that was of help, and see you in the next one.